Breakfast news. The news is live on Class 91.3 FM in Accra, Ho FM 92.5 in the Volta region, Dagban FM 102.5 in Tamale, Radio 1 92.1 in the Upper West region, Radio Power 96 in Spain. Around the world, join us on classfmonline.com. Coming up in this bulletin, Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly threatens to revoke operating permits of transport unions in Kumasi over charging of unapproved fares. Also, Young Cocoa Farmers Association petitions government over key policies ahead of the 2026-2027 cocoa purchasing season.
Asking the president to engage us on the bill, to be able to understand it properly. Because what we are hearing, in fact, if that is true, then it will not be.
Security consultant calls for clarity on military deployment to forest reserves and fight against Galamsey.
Because if you say you are going to deploy people, are you setting up two different contingents under the leadership of who? Then it has to be clearly defined so that we know where we are going to involve the Ghana Armed Forces.
Coming up in African news, Zambia President Hakainde Hichilema re-election for the second term with over 60% of votes after a tense counting process. This plus many other stories coming your way shortly.
This is the Class Breakfast News.
I am Elizabeth Aidoo. Welcome to Class 91.3 FM. Let's settle for the details of the news. The days of charging arbitrary transport fares in Kumasi could be numbered, with the Metropolitan Assembly preparing an enforcement crackdown on unions and drivers who violate approved fares. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has cautioned transport unions, station executives and commercial drivers against charging passengers on approved fares, describing the practice as illegal and unacceptable. The Assembly says its enforcement and task force will soon visit transport unions and lorry stations across the metropolis to ensure compliance with approved fares. It also warned that transport operating permits issued to unions could be revoked immediately if they are found charging unapproved fares. The latest directive comes amid repeated concerns of arbitrary fare increases by some commercial drivers in Kumasi. Earlier this year, the National Security launched a joint operation in Greater Accra Kumasi to clamp down on illegal transport fare increases, targeting drivers, conductors and loading boys. The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is now directing transport executives at both regional and branch levels to ensure that their station officers and drivers comply with the approved fares. The Assembly says the enforcement exercise is aimed at protecting commuters and ensuring that transport operators operate within the law. We are following the story. We'll bring you more here on Class 91.3 FM. Let's do some other stories because residents of Domikwabenya and surrounding communities are threatening renewed protest as frustration mounts over the poor condition of road they say has remained neglected for more than decades. The chairman of the Kwabenya taxi station, Adams Kublenu, says the deplorable Domikwabenya Brekusu road is taking a toll on residents and motorists, with some repeatedly suffering severe back and spinal pain. His comment follows a demonstration by hundreds of residents from Domikwabenya and Brekusu, Kitase and other adjoining communities demanding immediate completion of the road. Speaking to my colleague Kwame Ochiduni on 505 yesterday, Adam Kuplenu said repeated appeals and assurances from authorities have failed to resolve the problem. He has warned that residents will stage first demonstrations in November and December if authorities fail to take concrete steps to fix the road.
Yes. Since we have been waiting for the government to help us to construct this our road, but then we try and exhaust all avenues, but nobody is coming to our aid. And it has been disturbing us, our cars, our shocks, our engines, a whole lot. And then not only the cars, but our spine, our weight. We go to the house and we are not able to perform as even men just because of the deplorable state of the road. For now, we've painted a picture to the government because it's both Domi Kwabenya constituency and then Ekapim South. This is not about politics, but we are all citizens and we deserve better. Domi Kwabenya is one of the largest constituencies with huge number of electric. But then our road has been in this condition over 3 years. So this demonstration cost to the state. They have to come to our aid and come and finish the project. It's raining and then the erosion is washing away the topsoil. All that they've done is going to waste. So they should come and complete this project.
That's the chairman of the Kwabenya taxi station, Adams Kublenu. A group calling itself Young Cocoa Farmers Association has petitioned President John Dramani Mahama to urgently provide clarity on key policies ahead of the 2026-2027 cocoa purchasing season. The association says uncertainty over funding, producer prices and other opening data for the new season and proposed changes to the cocoa sector is creating anxiety among farmers and making it difficult for them to plan for the coming season. In the petition to the president, the group said the difficulties experienced during the 2025-2026 season left many cocoa farmers financially distressed and uncertain about the future of their livelihood. Speaking to Class News, the convener of the association, Martin Aidoo, said their members have been subjected to long-standing struggle, making it difficult to sell their produce and make ends meet.
We have stated clearly why we want to petition the president. What we're saying is that we have 6 points that we have raised. First one, we are asking whether there will be adequate funds for the 2026-2027 cocoa purchasing season. Why are we saying this? We're asking this question because of the challenges that we went through the previous season, where at some point in time we were not able to sell our cocoa beans because there weren't that fund or adequate funds us to be able to sell our produce. So we want to assure that this season that is ahead of us, there will be adequate funds to our cocoa beans. Secondly, we are also asking whether there has been some kind of measures to prevent the recurrence of what happened during last season, because the financial challenges that we went through, it affected with the young cocoa farmers severely, and for that reason we want to be sure that it will not happen again. Supporting any political party in this direction.
That's the convener for a group calling itself Young Cocoa Farmers Association, Martin Aidoo. The 3-day sit-down strike by tanker drivers at Boss Kumasi Depot has ended after the company and the Ghana National Petroleum Tanker Drivers Union agreed on measures to address concerns over safety and poor infrastructure. The agreement follows a meeting between Boss and the union's national executives yesterday, August 17, 2026. The drivers had complained about the poor condition of truck parking yards, particularly during rainfalls, as well as safety concerns at the depot. Under the agreement, the union's Kumasi executive will immediately coordinate the resurfacing of the AG Park. Boss has also dispatched a contractor to fix a hanging loading arm at the depot, with work expected to begin immediately. The two sides will further engage the National Petroleum Authority in September over concerns about meter-to-meter error margin. The agreement is also expected to help resolve some of the infrastructure and operational challenges that led to the industrial action yesterday. Calls are mounting for clarity over government's new strategy to deploy the military to forest reserves in the fight against illegal mining, with security consultant Richard Kumado warning against duplication of roles. Richard Kumado says government must clearly establish whether the new deployment will operate separately from the National Intelligence Mobility and Surveillance Operation, which is already a military-led initiative against illegal mining. His comment follows President Mohammed's announcement that the government has changed its approach by leaving military departments and detachments in forest reserves after they have been cleared of illegal mining. Speaking on 505 yesterday, Richard Kumado called for a clear command structure and proper coordination to avoid duplication and confusion.
If you look at NAMOS, one of the operational strategy of NAMOS is to do the assessment and they will be there. Because if you remember, the president once said that we are waiting for the UN soldiers to come home so that we'll have large numbers on at our disposal. Give the numbers to NAMOS. Because if you say you are going to deploy people, are you setting up two different contingents under the leadership of who? I have not read what the president said. I haven't heard it. But if we are saying it the way we are going, then we need to streamline it so that it becomes clear for we commentators and for everybody. Because NAMOS predominantly is a military contingent. And if you are going to deploy people, is it going to be under NAMOS or you are setting up another contingent? NAMOS, as part of the operational procedure, is to set camps within the forest at the high-risk zones and where predominantly they declare the area and people go. Then the president also said that they were recruiting some other guys where they are going to pay them 1,500 for them to do the reclamation. Then it has to be clearly defined so that we know where we are going. Saying it will involve the Ghana Armed Forces.
That's security consultant Richard Kumado. Meanwhile, the executive director of Eco-Conscious Citizen, Awila Sewa, is renewing calls for a targeted state of emergency to deal with illegal mining. She says that destruction and pollution of water bodies has reached a critical level and requires urgent action.
We've been told over 60% of our water is poisoned. What are we waiting for every Ghanaian to drop dead before we appreciate the magnitude of the problem we face? We face an existential threat. Let's not wait for every Ghanaian to be dropping dead before we begin to take the necessary action we need to take.
Do we still need a state of emergency?
Well, you see, the facts speak for themselves. If over 60% of our water bodies are poisoned and going, the illegal miners are now acting with impunity. They take it that it is their right to mine irresponsibly. And we don't, the forest reserve, some of those that have been there, people are going back. 60% of our water bodies are poisoned, maternal, there's deformed. Do we think this is a state of affairs that we should just sit there and say, let's wait? Let's wait for what? What else do we want to see? 100% of our water bodies poisoned, every Ghanaian to be dropping dead. The situation is dire.
That's the executive director of Eco-Conscious Citizen, Awula Sewa. Amid growing debate over the hearing of substantive criminal cases during the court vacation, lawyer Alexander Aban is questioning the exercise of judicial discretion in allowing such cases to proceed. His comment follows development at the Accra High Court, where the legal representative of former NAFCO CEO Hanan Abdul Wahab informed the court that his lead counsel, Godfrey Dami, was unable to conduct trials during the legal vacation. Speaking to Class News, Alexander Aban said allowing substantive criminal cases to proceed while during vacation could also raise concerns about fairness and public confidence in the judiciary.
The Chief Justice is actually exercising administrative discretion here. That's not judicial. This is administrative. Are the circumstances such that it will convey impressions to a section of the public that this is being done for reasons other than circumstances that require? Because we cannot run away from the fact that these are political cases. If you do it in such a way that people will feel that it is politically motivated, you may do it with all the best of intentions. But so long as it sends that signal, it will be caught by the dictum of Justice Hewitt, who said many years ago, in the dispensation of justice, justice must not only be done as a substantive matter, but it must be manifestly seen to be done.
Thus, lawyer Alexander Aban. To some other stories, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oyebampoado, has called for the adoption of practical digitalization system to drive economic growth, support innovation, and create lasting opportunities for young tech entrepreneurs.
Ghana must foster and increase stakeholder engagement. We must create a practical corporate tax and digitalization regime. We must discourage heavy taxation because this makes it exceedingly difficult for new developers who are youth and startups to scale. We must keep in mind that the field is dominated by enthusiastic young citizens who are using tech as a pathway out of economic hardship.
That's the Deputy Chief of Staff Nana Oye Bampo Aidoo. To some African stories, Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has been re-elected for the second 5-year term after winning the country's presidential election with about 61% of the vote. Official result from the Electoral Commission of Zambia shows Hichilema defeating his main challenger, who secured about 38%. The elections was held on August 13, with the counting process temporarily suspended following attack on election officials and the reported theft of ballot papers before it resumed. The opposition has raised concerns about the credibility of the process, while the international observers have also criticized aspects of the electoral environment. President Hakainde Hichilema, however, has appealed for calm and pledged inclusive governance as he begins his second term. Now, we'll bring you more details on this story right here on Class 91.3 FM. This ends the Class Breakfast News with me, Elizabeth Aidoo. For more news and updates, do log on to classfmonline.com. The morning show continues with Kwame Jumo Ajiman and the team. They'll stay and enjoy the rest of our programs. Have a good morning.